Cogneto, Mr. Rohet Sareen. Let's have a round of applause for him as well.
Do you have a clicker? Okay. So guys, I'm the last person on the presentation. So the first question I want to ask you is, how's the Josh? Hi? Fantastic. Thank you. So guys, my name is Rohet. We represent Cogneto. We are a B2B organization. So let me just spend the first minute in terms of really sort of telling you what is it that we do. Before that, a fun fact. Every money that is spent on the infrastructure space contributes to around 2.5 rupees back in terms of the GDP growth. So that's the area that we are into. So we are into infrastructure space, which means mining, construction, ports, logistics, material handling. So we are pretty much serving the core area of India, which is really, really growing extremely fast right now. And I believe we are hitting the right sweet spot. A little bit about the organization. So we were pretty much sort of born out of COVID as well. 2020 is when we were sort of formed. And since then we've been sort of acquiring the customers. We've recently been funded as well for $500,000. We have our customer base in India, Australia, Africa, and Europe, and we are growing quite well out there. Now, let me tell you what is it that we do. We provide you with a good amount of monitoring system in terms of how the operations are run. Let me put it another way. There's a lot of information asymmetry that's happening at the core construction mining sites and the headquarters. So for example, if Government of India thinks that Jharkhand mein there is some highway that's being built, it's been doing very well, the reality out there will be extremely different. And by the time the data sort of starts coming in, what's the issue, are the assets breaking down, how much has the production, it's a good 15, 20 days have already passed. And I've worked throughout my life in the infrastructure space. I often joke my biggest competition is actually pen and paper. So a lot of information right now flows through pen and paper to an Excel sheet, through an email. By the time it reaches the headquarters and something needs to be done, good 15, 20 days are sort of really passed away. So that's the target market that I'm sort of really addressing, number one. Number two is there is a fair amount of business KPIs that I'm monitoring as well. So I'll very quickly walk you through how I'm differentiating myself from the competition. So I'm giving them all these KPIs. I'm also telling you real time, in terms of real time, how the production is happening, how your assets are performing. And imagine this, you have assets worth, let's say, 1,000 crore rupees sitting in a particular site, consuming fuel worth 10 to 20 crore rupees per day. Even I was shocked when we started collecting the data. And you really want to figure out, boss, how's my site performing? This is where we sort of really come in. So let me very quickly sort of, I think, walk you through the kind of competition that we have right now. Oops. Okay. So right now I'm competing with the OEMs. I have some of the well-known people like Fleetex, etc. as well, and there are some of them who are totally focused on mining, construction, like Reactor, etc. My sweet spot is that I give them the business KPIs. OEM, they'll be just totally business sort of asset specific. So if I'm owner of a mine, I've got 10 different brands, and trust me, it's a real pain when someone tells me, boss, how much production has happened. I can't really reconcile those 10 assets sort of really together, even though OEM is giving me the solution. So I'm pretty much, I call myself hotels.com of infrastructure space. So that's the kind of space that we are in. So, and the kind of problems that we're solving, your production, we give you real time how the production is happening. My biggest use case, surprisingly, in India is the pilferage piece. Every mine owner, every construction guy thinks his workers are really looting him. So for me, in India, pilferage is one of the major sort of big ones. Maintenance breakdown is another one. And your capital allocation, of course, sort of really comes through all of this.
1 minute, last.
how I work is I've got my hardware as well as my software, which I install on the machines. It goes through a cloud, and the cloud then I do the analytics, and then sort of really provide the solution in terms of production, maintenance, asset, etc. Initially we were dependent on both the hardware as well as the software, but we have evolved a model where we can give a customer a solution through just software as well. And that's fantastic for me because that sort of helps me save a lot of my costs. Very quickly, in terms of it's a huge addressable market. In terms of stickiness, it's huge. My typical order size runs for at least 2 to 3 years. Government of India is turning out to be my biggest customer. Hadn't planned for it, but with all the infra push that's happening, Government of India is one of my biggest customers. My margins are fantastic in terms of my software, etc. And quickly, in terms of so this is some of my unit economics. These are of course, my blended rates. I was 1.5 CR last year. This year, I'm going to be close to around 10 CR. So that's the kind of growth rate that we're experiencing, especially in India. And now we're moving outside India. The numbers are going to be even huge. We're looking at a 5 million infusion for 10% equity. And in terms of my team, this is the team. We've got our experience in GE, Maersk, etc., and people from Coal India, etc. So,
all right, time's up. Any questions?
Correct. It's a SaaS B2B based. Correct.
Great.
Sure. So this is the set of equipments that I have. Okay. My biggest USP is doesn't matter which make or model you have. The hardware that I provide can be fitted in anywhere, in any particular asset. It's got a SIM attached to it, and that starts transmitting around 35 parameters straight away. I operate in extremely hostile environments where a network at times can be an issue, but my device is extremely rugged. So I can sort of really transmit the data back whenever it sort of catches the network. My solution is built on top of AWS. And then I sort of really start providing it with a fair amount of analytics, etc. Just to share the kind of KPIs that we provide to the businesses for a particular vehicle, how much production did I do per liter fuel, etc. That's the kind of data these guys absolutely didn't have earlier. So I'm actually giving them not just about how much fuel you used or how much production happened. I'm linking up a lot of these different things sort of really together. I'm also telling them on a real-time basis how much production, how much mining, etc. has really happened. Previously, typically, it used to take them around 10 to 15 days to sort of really get that kind of information. Customization is actually is required, but it's extremely minimal. I would say just hardly 20%. We've designed it ourselves. So we started with the software. We used to procure the hardware from outside. We realized we can't be dependent. We were truly inspired by Made in India, so we designed the hardware itself. So now we've done the backward integration. And some of the biggest names are my customers. I've got Vedanta, I've got Hindalco, I've got Aluminium of Greece. Government of India, as I said, is again one of my biggest customers right now. So great question. Let me split it up into two. One is the OEM. My biggest USP is that I'm OEM independent. So the hardware that I provide. Sorry? No. So I don't plug into their OBD. So that's my biggest advantage. I don't plug it into their OBD. I just put it into the fuse box and their alternator. That's it. So I don't touch their electronic system. So that's my biggest advantage. And your second question, sorry, was around the customization. True. True. So, and that reflects on your production? Absolutely. Based on the OEM, they have different lead times and failures,
Yeah.
cycles of... So, yeah.
Bit brief, please.
Can I just hear?
Of course.
Yeah.
Please.
So one of the things that we do is, in terms of their maintenance, we allow the customer to sort of really configure it. So they are able to configure it. Yeah. So but I mean, it's pretty much plug and play. So you want to do 1,000 kilometers or 1,000 hours or whatever. That customization that's something that they can do. Yeah. Right. So my biggest advantage, my last point, my biggest advantage is frankly, technology is great, but I think the business domain experience that we really bring in is fantastic. So an organization like LocoNav or FleetX can't really compete to me in terms of the KPIs that I'm able to give to the business. So that's frankly my biggest advantage. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Rohit. Investors who have interest can raise their hands. And Amit, can you please note their names? And that would be great.
5 million. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Rohit. All right. Thank you, everyone. Let's have a round of applause. And also, we would like